Okay, good day, students, and welcome to the third installment of our discussion regarding the components of your research introduction or chapter 1 for qualitative research. So let's go to the components. Okay, for this session, we have the last three parts, which are the importance of the study, the limitations of the study, and the definition of key terms. So first up, we have your importance of the study. This part talks about the significance of your research based on the benefits that your stakeholders will acquire. So basically, your task as researchers is to identify who will benefit from your study and then list down the benefits that they will get from the results of your research. So there are three components under this specific part. The first one is the general benefit that your study will provide. The second one would be the beneficiaries of the study. And last one, you have the specific benefits that each of your beneficiaries will get. So when talking about beneficiaries, okay, and how you are going to arrange them under this part, it must be remembered that these beneficiaries or stakeholders must be arranged from macro to micro. Okay, and this is along with the benefits that they will get. Okay, they are discussed in separate paragraphs, again arranged from macro to micro. So, sir, what's macro to micro? We start with the largest stakeholder down to the smallest stakeholder. Now, when we talk about macro stakeholders, probably these are government agencies or companies, so on and so forth. Further down the list, we might have administrators of these agencies or of these companies until you reach the smallest beneficiary, which probably would be either your direct stakeholders, the people who will directly benefit from the results. They can also be your research participants or the people that they represent, or they could also be future researchers. Okay, but all the more you have to remember that the arrangement of the beneficiaries must be from macro to micro. So to give you an example, okay, here is one that illustrates the major components. Okay, the three major components. We have the general benefit in red, the beneficiary in blue, and the benefits in green. Okay, so this is how you're going to format the whole thing. Keep in mind that this is just one beneficiary. Okay, so the next beneficiary will be written in a separate paragraph. So the way you format the importance of the study will be like this. Okay, after the beneficiary, okay, you are going to write that in italics. It must be italicized, and then followed by a period or terminated by a period, and then you're going to explain the benefits. Okay, the one in green. So that's it for the importance of the study. Again, it will be up to you how many stakeholders you are going to identify. The most important thing is that you arrange them from macro to micro. Okay, next part, you have the limitations of the study. So under the limitations of the study, okay, this will contain the factors which may affect the quality of the data that you will be collecting as researchers. So these factors are those which are beyond your control as researchers. Okay, so I'd like to point out as early as now that there is a big difference between limitations of the study and the delimitations of the study. When we say limitations of the study, we are talking about the extraneous factors that will affect or may affect the outcome of the study or of the results. But when we talk about the delimitation of the study, this refers to the boundaries of the study, most specifically in terms of its scope. Okay, so in qualitative research, we make use of the limitations of the study. So this part has two components. First, the limitations, and then second would be the effects of these limitations to your study. Now, again, they are discussed and explained in separate paragraphs. Now, to give you a sample, here are two limitations. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not a generic limitation. Okay? For your study, you will have a unique set of limitations because no two studies are alike. These limitations are applicable only to the study conducted by the proponents of this research. Okay? But for your research, you might have a totally different set of limitations. So that will be up to you, the researchers, to decide what the limitations will be. Now, you also need not cite external sources or to arrange them from macro to micro. This will be explained using your thoughts and your words. So no need for citations. Now, in the sample, you can see that the limitations are in red, while the effects of those limitations to the study are written in blue. So if you want to read through the sample, all you have to do is read it from the PowerPoint presentation or probably pause this video and read through the paragraphs. Okay, the last component of chapter 1 is your definition of terms. Now, this part contains the salient or the important terms which must be clarified by the researchers based on how the word is used in the context of the study. So when defining the terms in your research, keep in mind that we do not use the dictionary definition. Instead, we provide the operational definition. Okay, sir, what's the difference? When we say the dictionary definition, it's the one provided in dictionaries. Okay? However, when we say operational definition, this is not taken from any book. Instead, this is explained and given by the researchers. So a term is defined or clarified based on how it is understood in the context of the study. So allow me to give you an example. When we say the word teenager, the dictionary definition or the common understanding is that that is a person aged 12 to 17, probably. Okay? So if you are within that age range, then basically you are still considered as a teenager. However, if your study specifically requires teenagers who are 16 to 17 years old, then you are going to have to operationally define teenager as a student who is between 16 to 17 years old, or a student who is either 16 or 17 years old. That is an operational definition. The term teenager in the context of your study does not include students who are from 12 to 15 years old. Instead, it only requires students who are either 16 or 17 years of age. Now, in most cases, okay, you might be asking, sir, where do we find the key terms? Okay, how do we know that that is a key term? Okay, one tip. Most of the key terms for your study are found in your title. For example, lived experiences. You are going to have to operationally define that term, because when we say lived experiences, there are so many different experiences that we can choose from. But you will have to specify which experiences are we talking about. Is it experiences in school, experiences at home? Could it be political experience, religious life? Is it the struggle? Are we talking about childhood experiences? What have you? Okay, so when you specify a term based on how you are going to use it in your study, that is what we call an operational definition. And to look for the terms, all you need to do would be to look at your title and identify the key terms there. Okay, I just gave you one example that you can probably define. The rest of the words will be up to you. Make sure you identify the key terms which are found in your title. So again, there are two major components: the terms to be defined and the operational definition, still expressed in different paragraphs or separate paragraphs, and they do not require a citation. So this is a sample. As you can see, the term to be defined is stated or written in red, while the operational definition is written in blue. That being said, I believe that wraps up the components for Chapter 1. I hope that this series has been helpful to you in your preparations for the writing of your research introduction. In the next video, we'll talk about Chapter 2 and how you can compose the review of the related literature. So until then, toodles.